Greetings once again to our amazing Doctor of Ministry students here in the PMIN897 experience. The DMIN project design, of course, is the name of our course. Is really the, as you know, it's the last phase before you jump into the dissertation phase of all the good work you have been doing. And I know you're excited to get there. My desire, my commitment is to get you there as well as we possibly can, guarantee your success moving forward into 899. So welcome to module 3. We're actually going to begin the next section of our class this coming week. Module 3, week 6, of course. Modules 2 and 3 are both 3-week modules because they deal with the largest chunks of your proposal. And so we're going to finish the work you've been doing if needed. It is in so many cases from module 2, and then dive into module 3. We'll take it kind of gradually again as we did when we started in module 2 and make our way forward. So I wanted to give you just a kind of a quick review, a summary overall of the transition from the summary of the literature to the biblical, theological, and historical foundations sections of your proposal. Of course, module 2 was all about the summary of the literature. We had some really great conversations about, okay, what kind of literature? Well, specifically scholarly literature, literature that's academic by design. And so what we had to do, what you had to do in week 3 was jump into all of your research notes, the notes you've been taking as you read, and organize them so that you can separate out those that are specifically addressing scholarly kinds of issues, background issues, because you remember your chapter 2 and 3 will report background research for your project. And so you wanted to identify those specific scholarly issues that provide background to your project. Organizing your notes, this was the big organize. It's not that you're done, but it was really a big chunk of what you're going to end up doing. And then in week 4, you reflected your organization by putting it into a summary. You wanted to be able to report your research on the scholarly literature in some kind of logical order. And so you began to work on, okay, what would the outline look like? What would that logical order look like when it comes to this literature? And then finally, of course, we have been working together on the summary of the literature section itself, week 5. So as you know, for most of you, it's going to be a 10 to 12 page a summary. It's a summary. It's just kind of a way for you to present the major topics, the major items that you are pulling out of your outline, as well as introduce the major sources that you are going to be using when you ultimately compose, not only the summary, but that's going to become in an extended version, chapter 2. So some of you, though, as you recall, did a larger kind of a preliminary chapter 2 for Dr. Flynn in his PMIN 700. So it's okay for you to have a larger piece. You may want to go in and change it a little bit, polish it a little bit. I've noticed that some of you have been doing that. You maybe, one case I saw what had been a 26-page document for Dr. Flynn down to 22 pages, etc. It's okay for you to do that. Your chapter 2 is going to be at least 30 pages, maybe as much as 40 or 50 pages. If it gets beyond that, then you're going to have folks saying, your chair is going to be saying, you need to summarize more, you need to paraphrase more, because our ability to summarize and paraphrase items from the research demonstrates comprehension. So it's okay to ask that of you. So you have been working on your summary of the literature section. Remember, I have also mentioned to you that if you provide the larger piece that you did for Dr. Flynn, your chair will ask you to shorten it, because it's ultimately going to be chapter 1, which is the introduction. So you'll do chapter 2 on the lit review more generally. You'll do chapter 3 more generally, but chapter 1 is to be the introduction. So it's okay, because what we're doing in this class, in this experience, we're doing for Dr. Flynn. So it's okay for him to see some of what you did for him, but please do remember that you will be, if it's longer, it's very much longer. I think your chair is going to be okay with 15 pages, for instance, probably not 30, probably not 25. So anticipate needing to pare it down so that really is a summary. It really is a part of chapter 1, which is the introduction. So we've been working on that. And now we're going to begin to shift over to module 3, which is all about the biblical, theological, and historical foundations. We call it foundations. It's the context. Chapter 3 is the biblical, theological, and historical context for your study. And so we will take it in the same way. In this coming week, week 6, it's about continuing to organize your notes to complete that process, at least so far as we're concerned. Once you get into the dissertation phase, you will no doubt continue to do some research along the way, and you will add to what you're doing, but you don't need all of that for the proposal. And so, I appreciate how exciting the whole process gets, and you want to jump in and, really go for it. But your proposal is designed to be just that, a proposal. And ultimately, when it's chapter 1, it will be the introduction. And so you will complete the work of separating out, but this time you're separating out your notes into 3 kind of piles, if I can put it that way. You'll have one pile, one set of notes that is addressing biblical studies specifically. Then you'll have another set that will address Christian theology specifically. And remember, practical theology is theology. So when it comes to those kinds of ministerial, issues, theories, etc., that is theology. And then you'll have another set of notes that address church history, and you will, spend some time organizing them. It's quite often I have noticed in proposals for the theological foundation to just be more biblical information. So we are looking for your ability to do biblical studies, your ability to do theology, and your ability to research and report out of church history in relevant kinds of ways. So they need to be kept separate. And you're going to be working on that in week 6 rather than week 7. We'll do an outline again from what you have been working on with your notes. You will suggest what you think will be a good outline, a logical ordering of those notes. And then finally in week 8, you will do a BTH Foundations section. Now, nobody has done a preliminary chapter 3 up until now. So this is going to be more typically 10 to 12 pages. It will be a summary, just like your summary of the lit was. The BTH we usually call Foundations will be a summary. And again, it can be maybe 15 pages, but not really a lot more than that, because then it won't fit as well into chapter 1, which is the introduction. So we'll be working together on that in the coming 3 weeks. In terms of your week 6 resources, of course, once again, there are files from PMIN897 available to review, where Dr. Flynn went into some great detail on the proposal, on chapter 2, on chapter 3, etc. There's also a document containing the BTH description and the rubric, because ultimately there will be a peer review rubric. Chapters 5 and 6 in Cresswell will be very, very good sources for you this coming week, along with chapter 3 in Sensing. Sensing's book is designed specifically for a doctorate ministry projects. And then we're going to have a Zoom consultation. I call it number 3 on Monday night, where we will unpack the whole idea of the BTH Foundations that will ultimately lead, of course, into chapter 3 in some detail. So we will be doing that together in this process as well. In terms of a week 6 of work needed to be done, of course, you will, as much as you need to, complete your lit summary. Of course, I'm going to be jumping into the draft that you submitted and really giving you some very detailed feedback, because my goal is I want you to be able to have a document that you can simply copy and paste into the proposal template and not try to jump in at the last minute and make a lot of changes. That's my goal. So we will work together to complete your lit summary, and then of course you will be organizing your research notes once again into three different areas. And ultimately, of course, we'll address that process very specifically as well. In terms of our Zoom consultation, number 3, of course, it'll be Monday night, March the 13th, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time. And I want to take some time to review your progress so far, see if you have any questions, so far. And then to discuss the role of the BTH foundations. It's important, I think, for me, since the Doctor of Ministry program was invented by the ATS folks, to see how and why they connected it to an MDiv program and structure, etc. Why this element in a dissertation for the Doctor of Ministry? Because it's what is unique about the Doctor of Ministry, both a dissertation and this section of what will be the introduction. So we'll discuss that, and we'll describe all the research and writing process that you will now engage in as you go forward. We're finishing work together on the lit summary at first, but we have in mind, ultimately we see the finish line on April the 29th, but we're taking it kind of baby steps along the way. I know it can be time intensive. Some of you love the fact that it is, but we are going to take it step by step to guarantee that you succeed in this process. So, we do have a firm foundation, although we appreciate the value of researching in the scholarly literature, and to the degree that you can demonstrate from the scholarship that you did your homework, it adds weight to your own research and to your own project. So it's very, very important for a doctoral student and ultimately for a doctoral dissertation. But our firm foundation is really scripture. And so we're going to come back around and say, okay, we believe we have a strong reason to engage in this kind of a project because of what we observe in the Bible and in theology and in church history. And so this is obviously very, very important. Hopefully you will enjoy it, quite frankly. Those of you who have to preach every Sunday, or you teach Bible studies regularly, or whatever it might be, this is going to be somewhat, I think it will be challenging, but pretty simple as well, kind of foundational. So I'm looking forward to diving into this section of your proposal and the process involved. Once again, I am your partner in the process. I'm committed to your success in the process. And so I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. As always, if you have any questions along the way, be sure to let me know. Sometimes I've noticed a couple of you, which is fine, will call me in some cases, forgetting that I'm on the West Coast. In other cases, I could be in a faculty meeting, or, I'm not always with my phone. So if we need to have an appointment, it's best to text and let's set a time. I want to make sure I'm available to you always. And I look forward to being with you on Monday night. So God bless you, everybody. Just have a great week.